Hi John, thanks for joining us today as part of Creva's Kick the Bucket campaign. Appreciate you joining and hopping on to give us a bit of insight into farming in the Middle East and how you're bottle feeding over there.
Thanks, Eddie. Yeah, thanks for having us on, and yeah, my pleasure. I would love talking about farming, so kind of going through what works well and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
also, thanks for having me.
should be easy, so no problem. I suppose we just kick it off there. If you want to just give a little bit of an introduction to yourself and your education and your experience.
Yeah, okay. So my name is John Kemp. Working on a large farm in the Middle East. Currently rearing around 2,500 calves on milk, total 20,000 animals. So I set off actually not from a farming background. So kind of 15, 16, went round on a bicycle and found a job. Ended up milking cows. So knocking on doors, and the one that answered was a farmer. So that kind of set my track into the dairy industry. Dropped out of sixth form and went into ag college. So I did my diploma in agriculture. Finished when I was 19, and then started traveling the world. So went around Australia, did a bit of farming there, and kind of around Asia, and then back home. So throughout that time, lots of milking, lots of farming, tractor driving, the usual, and decided that this is what I wanted to do. So in 2021, I moved to Saudi Arabia. So I started working on a dairy farm in Saudi Arabia, milking 2,500 cows, total 7,000 animals, and was there for 2.5 years, and then made my way over to the farm that I'm working on now. So been here nearly 3 years now, and farm manager on here. So yeah, loving it. Love the dairy industry. Love working on big farms, and happy to share some knowledge.
Nice. You're combining your two passions there of a bit of travel and farming alongside it. I actually didn't realise that's how you got into farming. I kind of presumed you were from a farming background.
Yeah. No, it's funny how you fall into things, and visiting farms. I've visited farms all around the world. Visited farms in South America, all around the Middle East, around Australia, around some in Europe, in UK. So it's just a passion. Not from a farming background. Parents, grandparents, none of them are farmers, but just one of them things. Love manual work. Love numbers. So those kind of two things.
Yeah.
It fell into farming. So
Nice. Lovely background story, John. I suppose what's going to bring us in today is where you're currently farming in the Middle East, and I suppose from your farming experience in the UK and Australia, and from a few of the farms you visited in North and South America, you're probably dealing with the toughest climate of all. So can you just talk us through a few of the challenges you face there?
yeah, so farming in the Middle East, particularly in the region or the area that I am now, it's very tricky with the climate. So we get extreme climates. I mean, where I am now, in the summertime we get some days where we don't go below 90 THI. So I think in the UK maybe above 70 is heat stress. We don't go below 70 for about 6 months. We don't go below 80 for about 4 months, and some days we don't go below 90. So it's a real challenge, but we can navigate around it. There's many things we do to kind of mitigate the issues of heat stress. Lots of cooling, lots of fans, lots of water. So yeah, it is a real challenge, but there are ways around it, which I guess is the thing that fascinates me the most.
Yeah. And I suppose it's one side being on the animal side of it, but how do you find the climate yourself to work in?
It's okay. You get used to it. You do get used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you drink. I made the mistake in my first kind of few months out here not drinking enough water. I mean, it sounds simple, but you can easily get sidetracked. But as long as you drink enough water, you're good. So,
Yeah.
and then you apply the same concept to the animals. As long as you've got water, as long as it's cool, you can solve it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I suppose that kind of brings us on to our focus today. I know you could probably talk all day about the cooling the cows and stuff, but if you don't mind, we'll just discuss a little bit about calf rearing in the Middle East and some of the ways that you farm in your own system there, and if you could just talk us through that system, just in general terms.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, calf rearing, we rear around 2,500 calves on milk. So that would be around 70% heifers and 30% bulls. We bottle feed everything, so everything uses the Hatfield bottle system. We run with 504 bottle trailers, and we feed them 3 times a day. All calves are in single hutches, or they're actually in double single hutches. So what that is, it's a double hutch that you can separate into two. So we let them get paired housing after around 30 days. We expect weight gain over here. I mean, we do see seasonal kind of peaks and troughs, but we kind of in the hot time we'll get 0.7 kilos. In winter time we can see 0.8, 0.85, and sometimes 0.9.
Yeah.
So everything's pellet fed, weaned at 75 days.
Nice. And I suppose, are you seeing much benefits on the buddy calf feeding side of it?
Yeah, huge benefits. So we did in-house trials for about a year. We measured the weight gain, we measured the intake, we measured the performance after 6 months, and we measured performance after 12 months. And almost every line of calves that we had going through double hutches performed better, especially going transitioning to the hardening stage where you're getting them you've stopped the milk and you're trying to increase intake. We saw a very little drop in intake actually.
Oh, really?
So now we can see them, we can see them weaning around eating 2.5 to 3 kilos dry matter, and within 2 or 3 days of transferring them to group housing, they're back up eating 2.5, 3 kilos. So big difference there. Yeah.
Nice, yeah. I suppose that's down to the social climatization is what they're calling it, I think, is and how they're developing into the next stage, so it's not as much of a shock when they go to the group pen. That's interesting.
Yeah. Loads of little things. I think a good drop down as well to the weaning. It all adds together. So it was definitely beneficial, and we're converting all our hutches to double hutches now. So
okay, yeah. I suppose that brings us on to our next topic, is I suppose discussing how you bottle feed at scale using Hatfield feeding trailers. So I suppose if you could just give us a bit of detail on your kind of day-to-day routine and how you're using them.
Yeah, so I've fed different systems. I've fed electronic systems, kind of with the single calves going to the machines. I've fed buckets. I've fed the kind of big troughs. So this is my first farm where I came to when they were feeding the bottle system. So it was new to me, and I must say it is my favourite one. So how we can manage it at scale. We have the 504 bottles, and what we do is we create a very intricate step up and step down milk feeding system. So one that can be similarly achieved with the robotic feeders. And how we manage it, we use dairy comp or whatever herd system you've got, and you kind of summarize them by age, and you can very easily with the bottle system make up the number of bottles that you need for the number in that age group. So for example, everything less than 21 days will get 1.5 litres. So you count how many calves you've got less than 21 days, and you fill up the bottles. And then anything more than that, so you can create quite an intricate step up, step down. We have about eight step ups going from 3 litres all the way to 7, and we have similarly about 8 or 9 step downs going from 7 down to 1.5. So very, very convenient to manage like that. When we feed them, kind of start from the youngest all the way to the oldest, I'm not going to say it's foolproof, but I'm confident that the calves that I want to get that volume of milk are getting the volume of milk. So I'll spot check in there. I'll go in there once a week, once every few days. I'll take the feeding paper. I'll count the bottles to make sure that what they've said is what they've mixed, and I'm still yet to come across them making the wrong volumes, which fills me with confidence that the calves are getting the correct step up, step down.
Yeah.
When we actually introduced this, that was another huge key thing into the not dropping intakes at weaning.
Yeah. I suppose, so from a management point of view, even though you mightn't be in doing the actual feeding yourself or kind of having to keep an eye on different staff, kind of with the bottle feeding system, it keeps it simple and easy to feed, and you don't really have to worry about regular mistakes being made.
Yeah, exactly. And the best, for me, the best thing was the guys on the ground, they're just following a paper. Make this many lines of bottles for this volume. Previous systems I've worked in, you need a really competent milk feeder who can measure himself how much the calf needs, and then you have to put all the trust in that guy. If he's off, if he's on vacation, if it's night shift, if it's day shift, it's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Now if we decide to pull the step up back, which we will be doing soon with a different milk replacer, we're going to try and put a little bit more into them earlier. We can do it, and no one will know. The guys on the ground will just follow the paper. It will say fill up this many lines, this many bottles, and start from the youngest first, and they'll feed. So for me, that was one of the biggest things. Is we don't have to make a huge meeting. We don't have to say, right, we're going to change this, we're going to change this. We go to the computer, we change our program, print them off, and they just do it. So it's very convenient to feed at large scale.
Yeah. I suppose even when you're looking at kind of staff and kind of in the calf area especially, there's kind of a few very important jobs in terms of health checks and treatments. When you have the opportunity to kind of redeploy staff to maybe more important jobs where you kind of know the feeding is being looked after in an almost automated way, that you can allow your other skilled members of your team to kind of focus on treating the sick animals or focus on getting the weaning done. I suppose that's where Hatfield really comes into its own.
Yeah, and another thing that I kind of like is everything's measured within a small area. You can walk around 4 trailers and you can check every single volume within a space of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you can only check the volume when you're feeding calves out in buckets, one guy has to sit and watch the guy fill up all the buckets, and it could take 2 hours to make sure he's filling up all the buckets correctly. This way I can walk around the trailers, and I do this. I go there every few days, every 3 days, every 4 days. I'll go around the sides of the bottles. I'll make sure that they're filled up to the mark. And it takes 2 minutes to check that they've filled all the bottles correctly. And as long as they start from the youngest first and they go up to the oldest, you can be pretty certain that the calves will get the correct step up, step down. So it's good.
Yeah, I suppose another benefit of it is from filling, feeding to cleaning, it all takes place in the same trailer. So just starting off with the filling side of it first, can you take us through that process?
Yeah, so what we do, we have the sheet which will calculate the mixing and the temperature and everything. Once I've made the bulk of the mix, one guy will stand with his bottle filler, and we call them the milk feeders. So it's kind of one step up from the guys putting out the milk. It's someone who's responsible for filling, and he will basically have his paper, and he'll stand and he'll just put one by one line, so 7 bottles at a time, and he'll fill them up. So, for example, if we had 200 calves on 1.5 litre, then it's going to fill up 33 lines of bottles. When he fills those up, he'll look at his sheet and say, okay, from age 21 to 30, I need to fill up 70 bottles, so he'll do 10 more lines. So it's pretty simple. The guy just has to follow a clipboard, and he has to stop the milk when it gets to the volume.
Yeah. And then I suppose when you get out to feeding, then is it a similar sheet system, or what way do you make sure the right calves are fed the right amount?
So for the feeding system, we always set off from the youngest first. So we'll send the whole team for the youngest calves. We'll have 2 guys on the trailer putting bottles out for the calves. Usually about one. I timed it as well, about 1 to 1.5 seconds per bottle per calf. So you can quickly fire through calves. And then we have a team following those, picking up the small calves and teaching them to drink. So typically we find for the first 3 days, we'll have to pick the calves up and just make sure that we ensure that they drink. And after 3 days, then they're fine. So once they've got to that 3-day mark, they'll then jump on another tractor and continue to feed. So we can feed around 2,000, 2,500 in around 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah. I suppose that kind of, once you have all your calves fed and it's time to focus on the cleaning process, I suppose something that might put farms and farm managers off feeding bottles is they feel that they might have to compromise their hygiene around feeding calves, because obviously a bucket is easier to clean than a bottle and a nipple. If you want to just take us through your cleaning process there.
Yeah, so when we bring them in, so I actually prefer this system to buckets. I think it's cleaner because all the mess is in one controlled environment. Buckets, you've got milk splashing on the floor, you've got it spilling outside, whereas once you get the buckets inside, you've got a drain. Everything's in a controlled area, so lots less flies. So yeah, we bring the trailers in, we give them a rinse, we take the nipples off, and we drain any milk residue. We'll rinse them again, and then we'll fill them with we'll do acid, a 0.5% acid for 6 days a week, and 0.5% alkaline for 1 day a week. I hope I've got that the right way around. And then we swab them as well. So we'll do random swabs of bottles every 2 or 3 days. We'll swab them for coliforms and bacteria, and to make sure they're spotlessly clean. Once the chemical's sat in them for about what we can do with it, we'll come in and they'll rinse them and put chemical. We'll leave them to sit for a couple hours, and then they'll come back. We'll tip it upside down. We'll pressure wash and scrub the tops of the bottles with a scrubber, and then again rinse them and put them out. So it usually takes one guy 2 hours, 2.5 hours to clean all 4 trailers.
Oh, he covers all 4.
He covers all 4, yeah, and we cross-check them as well. Like we'll come in, we'll send the lab guys, we'll send them with swabs, and we'll take swabs. We'll make sure that they clean it and that the coliforms and bacteria it's low.
Yeah. And then just in terms of the nipple side, just going into the basin.
So we'll take the nipples. We'll rinse them. So we have these plastic trays or boxes, you want to call them, that can drain out very easy. So we'll rinse them first on the bottle, then we'll take them all off. We'll put them in the big stainless steel tanks full of hot water at about 50 degrees. Again, we'll put chemical. We'll turn it onto a wash cycle. So we'll leave them rotating round, and they'll all move round, and then we'll drain it out after an hour and rinse them off.
Yeah. I suppose from our visit there over to you a couple of months ago, it kind of stood out very clear that the flies around the calf area were, the fly population was really down in terms of what you might expect on a farm in the Middle East. I suppose when you can remove that moisture and cleaning process away from the calf pen, it's going to naturally reduce the fly population there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've got guys who've worked, we've probably got hundreds of years of experience within the team, and they've all said the bottle system compared to bucket system, the biggest difference that they see out on the ground is just no flies. So I mean, buckets you'll slosh around and they'll splash on the floor and they'll have it all around the face, whereas the nipples, it's pretty, I mean, they get a bit of foam, and we do brush the outsides of the bottle holders, but apart from that, there's very little milk residue will remain on the floor.
Yeah. And I suppose naturally that's going to take away from health treatments and a few calf issues when you can take the flies away from that area.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And again, intakes as well. So these are kind of all these little incremental things that really, once you get to a certain level, there's only going to be incremental things you can do to push intake even further. And less flies, buddy systems, step downs, all these little things will drive to that kind of 2.5-3 kilo dry matter before we.
Yeah, I suppose you've kind of touched on it there a couple of times, your kind of step up, step down method. If you just wouldn't mind going into a bit of detail on that, John, and how you work your weaning system.
Yeah, so we feed, the most amount of milk we'll feed is 7 litres a day up till day 47. And from day 47 until 75, which is I'll do it in my head, 27 or 28 day step down, we every 4 days we reduce the milk even further, so half a litre, which is very easy with the Hatfield bottle system. As the older ones, kind of every day they move one step back, and they'll lose half a litre. So again, it's something we've worked on in the past. We used to do a 7-day, we tried a 10-day, we tried a 14-day, and the biggest benefit we saw was stretching that step down period longer, very gradual without big steps. And almost instantly the intake it gradually rose, and when they're getting into hardening, it just outperformed compared to before, when we had the kind of if you look at the graph, when it's a big step down going from 7.5 litres to 5 litres to 2.5, instead of going from 7, 6.5, 6, 5.5. So yeah, a big thing that we focused on, and I'm happy to say that it's going really well.
Yeah, and I suppose the fact that the Hatfield bottle system can kind of allow for that level of precision to get the drop down level so much. And I know you talked about you'd like to even have it even a bit more if we could get it to that level of dropping 0.1 litre at a time. I think we talked about before.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the beauty of it, because we were able to sit with the technical specialists and say, look, what do you think is the best way? And we were able to go to the computer. Okay, let's do a step down here. Let's do it here. Let's do it here. And the guys on the ground, we just gave them the paper. We just continued as normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to hope that they noticed, but even if they didn't, it wouldn't have made a difference, because they just had to put out bottles.
Yeah. I suppose That's really all from us, John. I really want to say thanks for hopping on the call today. Your experience in the Middle East is, for a young man, is very impressive, and I can see your passion for farming in the Middle East. I don't think you'll be leaving that area anytime soon, and just best of luck. I want to congratulate you on your new role as farm manager over there, so congrats on that and best wishes in the future.
Yeah, thanks for that, Eddie. Thanks for having me on, and always love to talk about farming. With the kind of share knowledge and experience with people. So yeah, thanks for having me on, and yeah,